You're listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
All right, so now we have our Juneteenth. And what do we have with Juneteenth? Well, another day off in the hot summer. Memorial Day, July 4th, right in the middle, we'll put Juneteenth. A 3-day weekend in June. Has anyone ever heard the phrase long, hot summer? Right? So what do we have on Juneteenth, especially in our urban areas? Well, we have a little toxic combination of things. We got time. There's more time and nothing to do, right? 3-day weekend, don't have to be anywhere. That encourages not always very responsible behavior. 3-day weekend, nothing to do. What does America do? How do we celebrate these things, by the way? Whether it's Christmas or Juneteenth. Too many of us decide to drink. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What the hell, huh? Right? We drink when our football team wins, when they lose. Thanksgiving, Arbor Day, any excuse will do to drink. And now, what comes with drinking? Smoking weed. Oh, we smoke weed, we drink, it's hot outside. Let's throw some guns in the mix. Let's throw some attitude in the mix. Let's throw some resentment in the mix, because after all, we should have had Juneteenth. Juneteenth should have been a holiday 100 years ago. But if it wasn't for our systemically racist system, right? Yeah. Systemic racism, we shouldn't have had. Hell, it reminds us all again about slavery. You know, as if I needed a reminder. I learned about slavery, I believe, in kindergarten. I believe I was in kindergarten. And I remember in first grade, this really nice girl named Tracy, it was like show and tell, but it was more than show and tell. It was like a special thing. And she brought in a picture of Martin Luther King, and it was beautiful. Martin Luther King. All right, so now we have Juneteenth. And what comes with a great big holiday? A great big holiday that is big in, well, I think it's more recognized in urban areas than other areas. We already got the time. We already got the heat. We already got the attitude about all the systemic stuff. So we're going to have, oh yeah, we got guns all over the place. Not assault rifles, which are by and large like handled by people who know what they're doing. No, we got handguns all over the place. And everybody seems to want to bring them to the, whatever it is, the makeshift parade or the cookout or whatever. And we got a whole bunch of dead people and a wounded cop in Washington, D.C. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Totally unnecessary. Remember, this all came about to get Trump. They lied about him. They glorified people like Barack Obama, who couldn't have given a damn about Juneteenth, by the way. Did you see my show on Thursday? I went through it. Every year of his presidency, Barack Obama was cracking jokes, looking at himself in the mirror, doing all kinds of things other than saying anything about Juneteenth. Look it up. I want to know how many times John Lewis called for a national holiday. The great John Lewis, right? Has Jesse Jackson ever made it part of his platform? He ran for president how many times? 6 times? And then he showed Al Sharpton how to do it. Hey, man, you can run for president, have a lot of fun, fly around on a private jet, get money, get on television, don't have to work. Beats working, right? Did Al Sharpton make Juneteenth a national holiday part of his platform? I don't know. Did he? I follow current events. I read the newspaper like actually more than most people do. I don't remember him ever pushing that. I certainly remember Tawana Brawley. I know the race bait, all that stuff, but I haven't. No, I don't think so. I don't even remember Michelle Obama saying anything about Juneteenth. Do you? But here it is, Juneteenth. One more day off for an economy that's just lame. We are just lame. No one's breaking a sweat. Everybody's got an attitude. More time off. Nothing to do. Drink. Get high. Anybody want to call in right now and tell me what the hell Juneteenth is, by the way? I mean, really nail it down to the letter. Good luck. I've been talking about it. I've been watching versions on TV. Everybody seems to have a different idea of what it is, including Joe Biden. A young man, I think he's 16 years old, was driving like a crazy person through a neighborhood. I mean, really hitting the gas. But the fake news doesn't tell you anything about that. They just go along with their own fake narrative that this must be racist, all right, because the driver happens to be a young black teenager, and the people in the neighborhood are all angry white men. And you know about those angry white men. Oh, boy, there's nothing less cool. There's nothing more detestable these days than an angry white man. So they come out and they yell at this kid. Now, one guy allegedly threw a rock through his car. Well, that's obviously racist. No, it's not. Well, that's obviously criminal. No, it's not, actually. I've seen people do things similar to that. Yes, I have. By the way, I don't think it was the race of the driver that bothered anybody. Why would it? It was the driving of the driver that bothered everybody. And have you ever seen a car go recklessly through a neighborhood? In your entire life, have you ever seen that? I have. I'm guessing about a dozen times. And one distinct memory I have is somebody threw a bottle at the car to slow the guy down, to say, what the hell are you doing driving around like a maniac, right? That's okay. I mean, is it okay? It's not ideal, but things like this happen. Well, what about the car? What about somebody in the car? Well, what about the car running over a child or an old lady or a puppy or, oh my gosh, or an angry white man? Oh, yeah, nothing less sympathetic in the world. Cut 37, go.
Right here, buddy. Right here. Tell me what you were doing. Cindy, burning out, racing through my neighborhood. Burning out, racing through my neighborhood.
You not to.
Get out my face.
I'm not in your face. Get out of my neighborhood.
Who got the gun?
The guy who's got a permit to carry it.
You're the one that would get a gun.
All right.
Get out of this neighborhood.
All right.
Get out of this neighborhood. You don't belong here.
But y'all want to smash the window? Smash the window?
Yeah, he did.
Well, what did you hear that was racist? Get out of my neighborhood? Is it racist to tell somebody who doesn't live in your neighborhood to get out of your neighborhood? I mean, was I born freaking yesterday or something? My entire life, I see these silly signs all over the place. Neighborhood watch. You're under surveillance. Neighborhood watch. Now, why do I say they're silly? Because even as a kid, I knew that they weren't looking out the window all the time. I just knew it. I thought that those were for effect. I just knew it doesn't work that way. I was intrigued. I'm like, really? Are they watching us right now? Now, the fake news, it's all they needed. They had a kid who was upset, happened to be black. The villains in this case, obviously, the white men, and they're so angry and uncool. One guy has his hands on his hips. You can't get any whiter than that. And these days, being white ain't right. He's just nope. So let's see. Take it away, fake news. Cut 38.
Get out my face.
I'm not in your face. Get out of my neighborhood.
This is the cell phone video he captured after he was confronted and surrounded by white neighbors while he was trying to park at his friend's house. He said one of the men, now identified as Howard Hughes, struck his car with a cone and said Donald Corsi threw a large rock through the window.
And he explained the story to me, and I'm like, you mean to tell me that grown men did this to you?
His mother called it scary. They believe this was a hate crime. Even though Jermaine's passenger was white, some of the language directed at him by neighbors made him feel discriminated against.
Get out of this neighborhood.
All right.
Get out of this neighborhood.
The two men were arrested for charges related to the rock and the cone. We stopped at Donald Corsi's business to try to get his side of the story, but no one answered. Records indicate Hughes is a supervisor for a business that runs McDonald's franchises in Orlando. No one returned our calls from there either.
No respect. This is a neighborhood where little kids play. And you come running out here like you think you're a race car driver.
But he didn't think adults in that neighborhood handled it the right way.
I don't think what they did was right. I don't think they had the right to throw a rock through my car and damage it, and also assault my friend with the cone.
And Jermaine told us he doesn't know if he really even feels safe going into this neighborhood anymore. He said he had nightmares that very first night after that happened, and then last night he said he had trouble sleeping. They feel like if this driver was a white guy like me, for example, even if I was speeding through that neighborhood, it never would have escalated to a situation like this.
How do you know? How do you know? Boy, talk about the fake news. You see the cancellation effort right away? Go into the guy's business. Knock. Care to comment and give your side of the story? You seem pretty intent on telling your side of the story. One side of the story. You know what would be interesting? Because this is a huge, huge deal right now. Kid speeding through a neighborhood gets yelled at. And yes, something was thrown in this car. In the Washington Post, Network News, everybody's going crazy about it. These guys are out of a job, most likely. Cancellation culture swoops in. But you know what would have been interesting? And very tragic, by the way, and I'm glad this didn't happen. But if this kid were speeding through a neighborhood, let's say another neighborhood, a predominantly black neighborhood, and let's say that there were some bullets that were exchanged. Not a rock, a bullet. And it went into 16-year-old Jermaine Johnson's head, and he died. And the gunman was a person of color. Much more severe, right? But much less interest. Now, how perverse is that? This kid is alive with a story to tell, a nasty story about white men. But if he were dead and he had nothing to say, nobody would care. Nobody would care if he had been killed by a black man. Now, isn't that just totally fundamentally screwed the hell up? Wow. What kind of country are we living in here, huh? But let's keep stirring that racial pot. Let's keep going crazy. Let's pretend that certain things are problems, and let's pretend that certain things are fixed. And everybody's a victim. Even deadbeat dads who walk out on their kids, and had they stuck around, they'd be alive today. And let me be specific. I'm talking about Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and their deadbeat dads who are now celebrated as heroes. Heroes. Disgusting. MSNBC, which is about the most racist thing anyone has seen in this country since the freaking Ku Klux Klan. Cut 39, go.
We see that picture of that young man. All he was armed with was a bag of Skittles and an Arizona iced tea, shot and killed by a neighborhood watchman. And then you have a year and a half later, Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, a scuffle with the police officer. Mm-hmm. The officer says he feared for his life, shot him down in the street. He laid baking in the sun for 4 hours, and we know what happened after that. Jacob Blake in 2018 was, being detained, shot 4 times in the back by a police officer. Yeah. He is paralyzed. He's still with us.
First of all, it was 2020, you dummy. Not 2018. Talk about a Reader's Digest version of what went down, huh? Trayvon Martin had nothing but a bag of Skittles, an Arizona iced tea, and a desire to smash George Zimmerman's head into the sidewalk and kill him. You forgot to mention that part. You forgot to mention Jacob Blake, who was called by his wife to come to the house, or his domestic partner, whatever the status was, because she was afraid of him. And as he went to his car to get a knife and retrieved a knife, and tried to use it on cops. No, we'll just leave that stuff out. But thank you. What's this guy's name anyway for MSNBC? Tremaine something or other. And then he sits down, a round table discussion with these deadbeat dads. And you know what really gets on, that really makes them mad? The racist coverage about mass shooters when the shooter is white. They find it racist, actually. Cut 40.
When that 18-year-old walked into that grocery store in Buffalo, New York, that white boy walked in there and killed those people. It never was a question of how his parents raised him.
Never.
That was never a question.
Well, let me help you out here, buddy. It wasn't a question that they raised him. You get it? Now, they may have made mistakes. They may have missed all the warning signs and signals and whatnot, but they raised him. May have done a terrible job, may have done everything they could. I don't know. But the kid lived with the parents, and the parents were not somewhere else. Can you say the same thing, Trayvon Martin's dad? Can you say the same thing, Michael Brown's dad? I'm sorry that doesn't fit with you too well there. That was Jacob Blake's dad. You know, the one who was called by the wife. The wife called the cops as he's getting the knife. And did he call that kid a white boy? Yes, I think he did. I find that rather hateful language. I don't think that's appropriate in television.